Hey, hey, hey. If you act enthusiastic,
you'll be enthusiastic.
If you act enthusiastic,
you'll be
be
enthusiastic.
If you act enthusiastic, you'll be enthusiastic. I'm enthusiastic. Are you enthusiastic?
So we did not practice that. However, it is so much fun because it amazes me every time that as I am present in this moment with undivided attention, my enthusiasm level actually rises. And when I find it's not there, that little thing you just heard us do, hey, 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 Keiko, we have done many a time to move ourselves into a state where we are acting enthusiastic. Because I find if we're not enthusiastic about life, and it doesn't mean we have to be loud, it just means if we're not sensing that we're excited to be where we are and enthused about life, then life is kind of like passing me by.
Yes.
And so it's all about presence. And so we're on day 3. On day 1, day 3, I always do 4. I'm such an enthusiastic, spazzy person. It's awesomeness. So on day 1, we talked about not living in the past. Choosing whether we were going to forget the thing we wanted in the past or forget the thing that didn't serve us anymore in the past. So forget it. And then we talked about forgiving it. Or were we simply to forgive? Maybe it's ourselves, maybe it's another person, maybe it's an experience, maybe it's what we said, or maybe it's what we didn't say or do. And then forge it. Forge ahead. Forge it forward. So moving in that direction. And it doesn't mean there aren't some steps back and forth, because you can only take one step at a time. And yet that one step is essential. So that was day 1. And then day 2, Virginia, we moved into
future. And we talked about how we can experience excitement or anxiety around the future, and how our body responds to that mirrors actually each other. So it mirrors our heart racing. You know, when I'm anxious or I'm excited, my heart is racing. I'm feeling those butterflies floating around in my tummy. I'm visualizing the future. Maybe my hands get clammy. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, maybe.
I didn't even have to say anything. I love that. So,
that's why you wear a good deodorant.
Yeah. And your body really can't tell the difference. So you get to choose what you want, how you're going to interpret those feelings. That was day 2. And now day 3. Hola, Liz. Day 3 is about this present moment. Be here, right here, and nowhere else. It is a present to really gift. What?
I'm laughing because look, Liz has her red glasses on. She said, wow, it's red day.
It is red day. And I'm wearing red, and Liz, we even both have, yeah, well, hot tub, maybe you don't need it. And yet, don't get too close, all the same, right? So it's a present when you gift your undivided attention, your undivided presence.
Yes.
And when you have divided presence, it is no present at all. And have you ever noticed that? There are times where you feel so connected to another person, like from across the room, because you can already feel their presence is with you, versus you can feel them next to you and you know they ain't with you.
Yeah, it's like your energetic calling card.
Yeah.
It precedes you.
It does.
It's all part of it.
It is. So today, Ken, present.
Yes, present.
You have so much to say.
Oh, do I ever? Because I am guilty as charged. In the past, I wasn't always present. And now sometimes it's innocent. It's like, I got things going on in this brain of mine. I'm dreaming about the future, or I've got details and lists and things that need to be accomplished, or things I'm concerned about. And what would happen is the people that were in the room with me, whether it be one person or two people or three people, whatever, but that person wouldn't feel a connection. They wouldn't feel that I was charismatic. They wouldn't feel connected, or that I was even present in the room with them. And what it created was, people said, Ken's hard to get to know. He's a cold fish. And I think a cold fish, does that mean it comes out of cold water, or is a dead fish a cold fish? Anyway, and it really hit home the other day. I was going to go golfing, and we were doing a little work trip. So there was 4 of us, and
I wasn't one of them.
Yeah,
I didn't get invited. Actually, I was so grateful. I didn't get invited because although I got clubs in the garage and I got shoes and the little cute outfit, it ain't a place I want to be. So, yeah.
All right. So I was talking with 2 of the people that work with me a lot, and there was a third person that was golfing with us who knows me. I've been to their office a few times.
He's one of your team members.
He's one of my agents who works for me. And he was saying to one of my coworkers, I hope I don't have to ride with Ken in the golf cart.
Ouch. Ouch.
And she said, he's scared of you. And I said, scared of me? Yeah, because he doesn't know me, because I haven't been present. Whenever I've been maybe at that office, I've been less concerned about him and more concerned about all the other things that had to be done. And so that was a real kind of slap in the face wake up that, boy, I've still got work to do, because that only happened a couple of weeks ago. I've still got work to do on being present in the moment.
And maybe it's a good idea to type in chat. In what area scared of Ken? Matt thinks that's pretty funny.
Yep.
And it's something we've heard a lot over the years. And it's just because sometimes I think it's mostly because his presence isn't always there, because he's got a lot going on in there. He's a smart guy. So type in chat when you struggle with being present. Like, in what situation is it? Because awareness is the first step. Have you ever noticed that when you're unaware, we brought it to Ken's attention a lot. However, it had to go from awareness into not just his head, his heart. He had to buy into it. And we've all had it. We're picking on him because he decided to step in and allow himself to be picked on.
Because when you care about people, and I care about people, but if I'm not present, they don't feel that care or that warmth. And actually, I read a book on charisma, and charisma has 3 elements. And I can hold up 3 fingers and a pen. Let me grab that. 3 fingers. It is warmth being one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
Power, that you can do something.
Help them with whatever they need help with.
Yeah. And what's the third one? Because I've lost it.
Present. It's presence. So that's really awesome that he lost presence for a moment, because I think that's the most important one. If you're not present, warmth isn't going to happen, and they're not going to care about what you can do for them. They won't even tap into your power.
Yeah, I love what Matt said about people can feel if you're present. And the other thing is, we tell ourselves a story. And so by Ken not being present, your coworker, he's telling himself a story, and it's not true.
And it is for him.
It is for him at that time. Yes.
Keiko is actually confessing that she too was scared of Ken. He looks so serious, intelligent, multimillionaire, until you really get to know him. Then he looks kind of cool. So, like, right? Like, how fun is that?
Yeah.
That we don't even recognize sometimes what our presence is. And there's Lynn. I love that. Or Liz, actually, my other L friend. Liz is saying she's a lot like Ken, frequently in her head, right? Ironic that someone feared Ken because he's a teddy bear, mighty one, of course,
Yeah,
which
you
is
got to
brilliant,
get to know that teddy bear.
right? And how many of us aren't like that? And so, Liz, I love that, you were excited to journey with Ken on the coaching certification, and probably because you resonate with each other.
Mm.
Right? The presence matched. So I love what you were saying, Virginia, is what story do you tell yourself even about you when the other person's present isn't there?
Yeah, because
And even
we make it about us. And a lot of times, I love this saying, people don't do things to you, they do things for themselves. So when you're hurt by someone, very infrequently do they mean to hurt you. Most of the time, they hurt you because they're protecting themselves. They're concerned about their own well-being, or they're selfish. It's all about them. They don't do it to hurt you. When I hurt you, it's not usually out of malicious intent. It's just me being me, protecting myself. So that's important, and especially when you're being present. If you can be present to, hey, what's going on? What am I defending? What am I protecting?
What am I hiding?
What am
and
I
what am I
hiding?
trying to prove?
Yeah.
What am I up to? I love what Matt is saying. Sometimes he gets so present in the moment that he forgets about his other responsibilities. And who's been there? Right? And so I'm learning to use a timer on my phone. I'm learning to set up my environment so that I can still be responsible for my other commitments. Just the other day, it was like 2 days ago, I was present with a new client. He called, he needed a rental. A year from now, if I'd really put the pieces together, I probably wouldn't have forged ahead so quickly. However, I forged forward, picked up the phone, thought it would be a 2-minute phone call. It wasn't. 20 minutes, almost 30 minutes later, when I hung up, I realized that there was a text from 20 minutes ago from another client saying, I'm at the house ready to do the final walkthrough.
Oops.
Oh, yeah, I know. Fortunately, it was my seller. We already did a great job for her. She wasn't angry. She was visiting with a friend. However, she had driven in from 8 hours away, and we had arranged this days and days earlier. I knew about it, but I got so present with the guy on the phone, helping him navigate something that didn't need to be navigated now, that I forgot about my responsibility. So I love you, Matt. That is so true. Being present and yet responsible. I like that.
And something else too is even when we are present in the moment, to know when, because I know I can get this look on my face when I'm focused and intentional. And so people are you okay? Are you angry? And I'm like, no, I've learned to put a smile on my face all the time.
Maybe that's my problem. I don't smile when I'm thinking.
Yeah, and it becomes and that just becomes the habit that I now do, because I was intentional, because I was getting those, and I'm like, oh my goodness, no. So they were telling themselves that story. And again, so I'm only responsible with what I can do. And so if that is learning to intentionally put a smile on my face all the time, then it's there.
That's why my mask has a smile. I went and got masks. If you haven't seen them, check me out on Facebook, on Double Decker Facebook and Instagram. I've been bold enough to actually wear my 3 masks, and they all have grandiose smiles so that I can remember to smile.
Giant smiles.
Giant smiles with tongue sticking out, which is so fun. So share where and how, what strategy you're going to use. I love what Matt put out there. So what strategy will you use to not be overly present in the moment that you forget about your other responsibilities? Like, it takes a strategy.
Yes.
Because,
And I'm going to give a strategy, kind of a strategy, a way of maybe thinking about things. The other day, I was spending an hour or so in my thinking chair. Yetta used to think, what did you think about my thinking chair?
I thought it was a really bad way to use time. It was really, I used to give him a really, 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 really hard time. This is like 25, 26 years ago when he first thought a thinking chair was a good idea. And I thought, what a waste, man. What is wrong with you? And now, if I can't get a couple of hours a day in my thinking chair, I think, what a waste of my life, because I'm not prepared going into what is going to be going on next. So my thinking chair probably is my most used chair in the entire house.
Yeah, it's going to be a sad day when those two chairs wear out, because we got identical thinking chairs. They're very, very comfortable. And what I did was I wrote down what I was thinking. So I wrote down a few pages here, and it'd probably be a chapter in a book at some point. But this analogy really helped me. How many people drive a car or have driven a car?
I have. Type in chat if you've driven a car.
Or if you,
or you've been in a car.
Have you been in a car? Have you driven in a car? Have you been driven by somebody driving the car? So if you've been in a car, just type yes.
Yeah, just a yes. It's easy.
Okay?
Yes.
Yes, I've been in a car. And the beauty is the car, if you think of a car, it's kind of like a cockpit, right? There's an area for the people. Some have, yours has a convertible roof.
I know.
Which is fun sometimes, get some adventure. Now, the rear view mirror, how big is it compared to the windshield? It's pretty small, right? It's pretty small. Now that rear view mirror is important because it's important to see where you've come from. It's important to celebrate where you've come from. If you relate the rear view mirror to the past, to your past, it's important to learn from the past. Now, if there's a car behind me and I'm braking hard,
that happened to me.
Yeah, they're behind.
Just recently, I'm still dealing with the whiplash. Yes. Ouch, man.
So they're behind me, but it's still important for me to learn from them. So if I hit the brake, the first thing I do is I look at the rearview mirror and see if the person behind me is following too close, or whether they're braking. Because if they're gaining on me quick, now I got to decide another decision. Do I go towards the shoulder and get out of the way of the person coming from behind? Do I go into traffic if there's no traffic? So there's lots of things.
Do I run the red?
Do I run the red instead of that person, clobbering me? Lots of things to think about. So that rear view mirror is important, but it's really, really important to celebrate where you've come from, to see the progress of, because if we're always looking, oh, I got to do this, I got to go ahead, I got to move ahead without any celebration, the subconscious hates that. The subconscious loves completion, and it wants to know
progress.
So if you want your subconscious to encourage you to do more, to be activated more, then you need to celebrate where you came from.
Okay, and who taught us that?
Coach Sean Smith.
And who before that?
Oh, celebrating? That would be Matt.
Coach Matt. Coach Matt used to, it was the worst thing in my life, actually, the first time it happened. He sat on Zoom with us, watching us celebrate each other. It was like, that wasn't good enough yet. Well, you could go a little deeper.
It's like the first time you try to do a curl or a squat and you don't know the movement, and you can't lift a heavy weight. You got to do it without weight, and you look silly. Or you're doing a barbell press and you can't put any weights on it. And people are looking at, oh, look at that. But you got to learn that process before you can celebrate well.
Right. And something my grandkids often do, and I don't know if you have ever done this, I used to do it. I would think, I can't do that thing well. And I'd start beating myself up and think, what's wrong with me? I can't celebrate, or I can't ride the bike, or I can't drive the car, or whatever it is. Well, if I never practiced it or learned it, I can't speak well. I can't hold the microphone properly. I put it in the wrong place. If I never practiced it, what would make me think I should be able to be good at it? Reality is we have to practice anything we want to get good at and be present while we're doing it. So we did learn to celebrate each other in a more meaningful way when Matt was like staring at us.
Yes.
Nicely. Oh, he had a smile.
He was coaching us.
And the beautiful thing is that you also shared that with us on the morning WAC call. And you asked us, what would you like to be celebrated for? and then spoke so beautifully into our hearts. And so thank you, Coach Matt, because that is something now it goes on. I do that to people that I am engaged with as well in the present. And it's really makes you pause and think. And it is, so I celebrate you, Miss Yetta Decker, for bringing that to so many of us through Roar Canada and through WAC and through Double Decker. And what a gift that is. So thank you.
Celebration sometimes is a word that people get stuck on, and yet it could be acknowledge, it could be encourage, it could be just, what are you going to be aware of and step into and acknowledge the other person or appreciate them for or be grateful for.
Mm-hmm. So now back to my car.
Oh, yeah, he can't.
Okay. Back in the car, everybody grab hold of the steering wheel, and you're looking out the big windshield, and you've got side windows, right? Why do you have those side windows in the windshield in front of you?
So you can see ahead and what's like around
you. Can see where you're going.
Right.
That's the future. Your future is where you're going. And it's beautiful because you can look through the window. You can see if there's any obstacles. You might have to turn coming up, a stop, or there's animals on the road. There might be a pothole that will blow your tire and your rim.
Yeah.
There might be all kinds of things.
You might miss it.
Yeah. So we're going to look through the windshield of our future with anticipation of where we're going, right? You don't generally get in a car and drive unless you have a goal of arriving somewhere. That's why you get in the car. And so that's your future. And now, if I don't put it in drive, I'm not going anywhere. And I can steer all I want. But if I'm not moving either forward or back, it doesn't change the direction of the vehicle. So if you're stuck in indecision, you're not moving. So we got to move in the present. We got to be in movement, because if we're in movement, then we can make adjustments. We can turn the steering wheel, and our life, the car, will respond. But you have to be in movement to make a turn and to see if something's coming up. Now, sometimes when you go through life, you get storms. And when you're driving in your car, sometimes you get a storm. Up here, we get snowstorms.
Storms.
We get ice storms.
Pellets,
We get rain storms. We get all kinds of things. But what do you have on a windshield? Good job, Yetta.
Mine go fast.
That's more like a bus, Virginia. Anyway, and think of the windshield wiper as a guide, as a coach, as a mentor. If you don't have someone to help you in the storms of life, to be able to clear the windshield so you can make better decisions, to ask you great questions, that may be something that's missing in your life, and you may want to look into that. Right?
Yes.
We've had great coaches, great mentors.
Here.
Otherwise, we would not get where we've gotten, and we will not get where we want to go. And that's why we've hired coaches to help us get where we want to go.
And that's why we're a coach.
Yes. That's why we coach others. So now the inside of the car is the present. This is what we wanted to talk about today, was being present. Inside the car, you have the steering wheel, you have a brake. If you need to slow down, you have the accelerator.
So go faster.
And always accelerate when you're in momentum. If you have troubles going on, it may be time to slow down and reevaluate. And that's why it has a neutral, and it even has a reverse. Sometimes you got to back up and go, back up the truck. Maybe I made the wrong turn. And then now we can go, right? There is, I used to get angry if Yetta would tell me too late to turn. Like she was navigating and she'd go, turn right here. And I go, you mean back there? Maybe I was driving too fast. Maybe she didn't tell me early enough. Doesn't matter. But I used to get mad and I go, well, they put a reverse in the car. It's not like I have to get out and push it back there to make the turn. So why be upset with that? Now, inside your house, or inside your car, in the present, this is what I've realized, is when you've got a good control on the past and you got a good vision for the future and you're in faith, not fear of what's coming. I don't know if you've ever driven with a nervous driver that's in fear of what could be coming. it's a horrible drive because they're overcompensating. They oversteer. They brake too quick, and it's. Have you done that? Been there, done that?
I've been there.
You've been there, done that?
Yeah.
But if you're in the present and you're in peace, now for me, I think of the air in the car. Like you don't really see it, but you have a control and you can make it cooler, you can make it hotter, you can make it comfortable in there, right? And you can be at peace with your surroundings. For me, that happened when I got God in my life. And God is the peace giver for me. And so I think of the air in the car as the Holy Spirit. When the Holy Spirit sits on me, then I have peace. Even in the midst of the storm and the wipers are going and I'm trying to see where I'm going, I can have peace.
Even with the windows fogging up, you can't get the defrost going fast enough. And it's cold and it's,
Yeah, all of that. But in the present is where you have all the controls. You have the radio control, you have the gear shift, you have all the control in the present. Do not let the past control you, and do not let the future control you, because while you're in control in the car, you control what you pass and you control what you're going to in the future.
Yeah. So as you think about that, that was a lot of story. And yet an amazing analogy, because what is it that gets in your way? Like, when do you not remember to use the wiper? When do you forget to check out the rear view just for a second to see what might be causing you grief? And then when do you forget? Like, I forget those things. That's kind of even what Matt said about being so present that you forget that there actually is something else up there because you're stuck here. So it's really a way of creating in your car and in your life. How do you create that environment that allows you to be both present, but taking advantage of or utilizing what's back there and the momentum for up here?
And you're in control. If you're driving, I don't know if you've been a passenger and someone's driving and they're driving too quickly or erratically, or they're not checking their shoulder when they pull out into a lane, you can get really nervous because you're not in control, right? And you lose all your power. So when you're in control and you have options and you make the decision, you are in control. And that's being present. You are in control. If you become out of control and decide I can't make any decisions, or people tell you what you have to do,
what decisions to make. Keiko and I were talking about that this morning. One person saying, do this, another person saying, do this. She asked me, what should I do? I want some counsel. And all I did was ask questions. Because when you ask the questions, you get present. You get present to what really works for you. Presence is so the most important thing, right? So staying totally present there is nothing else other than building your framework so you can stay present and where you're meant to be next.
Because it brings clarity.
It really does.
Yeah. And calm.
Yeah. And so where are you staying in choice? Whenever you stay in choice, you have power. Even in your language, like, I have to do something, or I get to do something, or I choose to do something. Like this morning, somebody said to me, the cat's upset because it can't go outside because it's raining. I said, can the cat not go outside? Or is the cat choosing not to go outside because it's raining? Right? We choose whether, when the sun rains, we go.
The sun rains?
Yeah, the sun rains. You ever had a sun rain? We had one.
Yeah,
Just now.
we're having one.
It rained and it's sunny. But if you have rain, you can either go, oh, that's a blessing. It's watering the gardens. It's refilling up the aquifers underneath the ground so that when we go to use our well, there'll be water in it. You can look at the blessing, or you can go, it's cloudy and rainy, right? Like, it's a choice.
It's all a choice. So what are you choosing right now? How are you choosing to be present? And Ken, I know he wants to invite you to connect with us at Double Decker. If you're thinking this has been fun, I want to watch the replays, go watch the replays. If you want to connect with us, go over to doubledecker.life, and there's some free resources there. One really awesome one that will help you live in that state of forgiveness if that's an area that's kind of struggling for you. because it is for me from time to time.
Yeah.
He says, yep, he just smiles at me. You know, that's a problem. And we're sad that this is coming to a wrap.
Yeah, but I'm not sad because I've got my poem here that I wrote. And speaking of choice, I think this will help you if you listen to the words. So you may even want to close your eyes, not if you're driving, but if you're at home, close your eyes and listen to this poem and listen for the hidden meanings in it. It's called The Champion.
And bring it to yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
The specter may boo, the spectator may boo or cheer. The champion does not hear. In the agony of defeat, the champion will learn. In the glory of a win, they do not rest. For time is short and the competition is stern. The champion eats, exercises, and trains to be their best. The spectator conveniently sits on the couch, wishing they could, eating junk food and being a slouch, while sitting in should. The champion knows they miss every shot they do not take. The spectator fears to miss and goes on as a fake. And in the end, the champion, with tears, sweat, and dirt, is full of joy that they've given it their all. The spectator is clean and not hurt, but empty and sad that they were afraid to fall. The champion and the spectator lives within. With every decision you make, you choose which one will win.
Which one will win? Type in chat. Which one will win?
Yeah.
Which one will win?
Will the champion win?
Now.
Will the champion win? Or the spectator? Both live within you. You get to choose which one shows up right now, right here, right in the present.
Yeah. Which one will win? And thank you for winning with us, because we chose to hang out together, which is a win-win-win. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.